Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue our program. I would like to introduce our next speaker. Her name is Sanne Drogtrop. Sanne Drogtrop recently joined MediaMonks Shanghai office as EP, Head of Production, formerly Head of Production at Whedon and Kennedy Shanghai, and before that, EP of Interactive at 72 and Sunny Amsterdam. Sanne combines over 15 years of production experience of both traditional and digital media as well as experiential work. Today, her topic is about how to build the ultimate retail experience. Ladies and gentlemen, executive producer of MediaMonks, please welcome Sanne Drogtrop. ขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับเธอด้วยครับ
Good morning, Bangkok, and thank you very much for that kind introduction. As just introduced, my name is Sanne, and I head up the China office of a digital production company called MediaMonks. Our company specializes in the crossroad of storytelling and technology. And that brings me to the topic I would like to talk to you about today. It's the ability to create amazing experiences for people using both the power of storytelling and technology. On a side note, earlier it was introduced that what I would talk to you about today had something to do with VR. Unfortunately, it doesn't, so I hope I'm not disappointing anybody in the audience. And I hope that the thing that I am talking about today will still have something of interest for you. So let's jump in. Give me 1 second. I think we have some technical difficulties. Thank you very much. So reality is that in today's world, we are bombarded with messages. From the moment that we wake up until the moment we go to bed, there are screens everywhere and there's messages everywhere. So in this overly cluttered world, we have become desensitized to anything, and brand messages have basically become merely background noise. At the same time, people seem increasingly hungry for experiences. You don't have to read any reports or research on that to give that color. Just open Instagram or any other social media today, and you see that your own friends are traveling further, climbing higher, or doing more extreme experiences every day. So it is widely acknowledged that millennials are even willing to pay more for experiences than for products nowadays. And while 80% of companies believe that they give their consumers a really good experience, there's only a very small amount of people that agrees with these companies. People's expectations have changed. Their demands are much higher. But before we jump into that, let's look at how we've gotten to this point where people basically are no longer reachable. Back in 2000, up to 2008, this was the time where you still sold a product through a television commercial, print, or radio. It was the start of the digital marketing era, and at that time, to really talk to your consumers, you had to create a very fancy, flashy microsite. And everybody was on it at one point. Every single developer that could string one line of code together made its own microsite. And with that, everybody stopped caring, and it moved on to the next era. The next era is the moment that we all had a mobile phone in our hands. We spent all day, every day, on a little screen looking at what was digital content. After the successful launch of a few apps on our phone, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. There was an app for literally everything. There was an app that basically showed you that you could drink a beer from your mobile phone, and you had to pay when you wanted to sound to it. There was an app that was called the priority car, which showed you where your car was parked, but it would tell it to you in a pirate voice. For if the normal app that said it in a normal voice wasn't enough for you. Then you had a breakup app that would break up your relationship for you. And all these apps only had one single goal. So all of us here, had about 200 apps on our phone, and basically realized at one point that after the download of an app, we never ever used it again. And we all migrated to utilizing only a few apps on our mobile phones. It was either an app that gave us a utility that we really couldn't do without, like a banking app, or it was an app that granted us access to the people we cared about, to our communities. By then, social media was adopted. It was the holy grail for marketing people, because never before were people so incredibly engaged. We liked it, we loved it, we shared it, we hated it, we commented on it. And all your brand really needed was a Facebook page, a bunch of followers that were engaging with everything you did, because at that time, even a brand was communicating what they had for breakfast. But obviously, that became a cluttered space as well, and thankfully that space matured into a space that's closer to where we are today. And that's the space of social media as we know it, where there's a very wide diversity of social media platforms available, and thankfully the quality of content matured during the years as well. Smart brands actually started creating content that had some quality to it, that had a brand message to it, that tried to tell you something about the brand that people cared about. But dabbling in that same space was every other human being with a mobile phone. And so there was the influencers that started off. They started creating content that was tapping into subcultures. And suddenly you had these influencers that were exploding and becoming bigger than brands. Next thing you know, everybody with a mobile phone is a content creator, an influencer, a key opinion leader, a key opinion consumers. And even this space where we are today, it's cluttered. And there we are. The digital space is convoluted, saturated, and it's no longer what a brand tells the consumers what it is, it's the consumers telling each other what it is. It's not a very rosy picture for any brand today, because with 1 million broadcast channels to broadcast your message, how are you ever going to cut through? How are you ever going to be able to connect with that audience in the landscape that we have today? That's coming back to a simple truth. We need to define how a brand can connect with a consumer on a human level. To deserve attention in this cluttered space that we have today, we need to offer our consumers something that's worthwhile spending their time with. We need to grab people's attention and give something that is going to settle in their hearts and in their minds. We believe that it's experience that's going to give us that control back. It's empowering people to have a good time with your brand. As mentioned at the start of this talk, the target audiences are ready. A study executed by Harris stated that a whopping 78% of millennials would choose to spend money over an experience or an event over owning any goods. So if that doesn't convince you that you need to jump on the train of experience, there's a few additional proof points that I'd like to give you. As humans, we have this innate desire to be connected to something larger, to connect with others, to be part of a bigger thing. And when people physically come together, it unites them. It unites them with each other, and it unites them with your brand. A second part is that a good experience gives us something to talk about, something to share with our community, something to share with our friends. It allows us to show the world a little bit about who we are and why we love what we're doing. As brands, our opportunity is to give people something to talk about through that experience that we offer them. And probably the most important one is that an experience gives creates a lasting memory. Fact is that the moment that somebody's experienced something in real life and not through a screen on their phone, but they're actually able to touch something, they're able to interact with it, even smell it or feel it, that has a huge impact and it sticks. So the more intense, pleasurable, or bad an experience, the longer lasting a memory will be. And an interesting fact from the book of Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow, is that it's those memories that actually create future purchasing decisions. Last point that I'd like to make is that beyond all of this, beyond it creating great memories and lasting impact, it also drives down to the bottom line. I'm going to share a case with you in a bit that shows that it's actually some experiences lead back to immediate sales, immediate commercial success. So I'd say plenty of reasons to start creating experiences for audience. But the question is, what defines a great experience? As mentioned at the start, a lot of brands think they offer a great experience to their audiences, but their audience don't agree. And I believe that is because a lot of brands still create experiences that are very, very nested in the product itself. They are made to sell. They are not made to give their consumers a great experience. They're not made to actually, with the experience at heart and the craft at heart. We need to realize that in today's era, consumers are highly sophisticated. Their lives are the most connected lives, interacted lives, most entertained lives, most mobile lives. Everything is available on a tap for us today. Everything is crafted to our taste, from our coffee to our online newspaper. So that means for a consumer to even consider spending time with your brand, you will have to make sure that an experience is as entertaining, interactive, connected, mobile, and all these other things that their lives are. At the organization I work for, called MediaMonks, we continuously research emerging technology, and we research what it can do for normal human being in normal day life. It is at the core of everything we do in the office, but it's never the hero, because we never do technology for technology's sake. The hero will always be the story. It's the story that connects humans. It's just like in the time of the cavemen and the cavewomen. It's a story that is being told on. Technology merely provides us the tools to tell that story to people and to allow them to interact with it. So let's look at some experiences that have that human story at the core of it and technology to support it. The first case I'd like to share with you is a case for Intel. The objective was to create a campaign that would bring the RealSense technology closer to people. RealSense technology, as most technologies, is a pretty dry technology. So it's really the application that makes it worthwhile. Let's have a look.
This is new. This is a huge challenge because we've never done
Sound?
this before. Like, how do we get these young people to care about historical events that happened in China? Intel came to us and asked us to create a connection between the past and the youth, basically.
Xi'an is the very old capital in China. We're so proud of it because it maintained for so many years and is still the original bricks, still original walls.
We have 5,000 years of the history. We have so many stories that happened.
This city carries a lot of cultural history and a lot of young people aren't aware of it. The plan was to make 4 animated movies that revolve around famous historical events and in the end being projected at the big wall at the city gate. We're going to use RealSense technology where we scan people's faces and put the faces in the animations. It was a challenge for us to show all the compositions without faces. Technology worked really well because we scan the faces and we put it into the animation. You become the hero, you become the bad guy, you become part of history.
Putting in such an important venue is very challenging.
The process of setting up an event like this, on a scale like this, is insane. There's all these camera setups where all the people that come to the event, they can scan their faces in. In the end, it's going to be an application where we stake all these dynamic faces on top of the characters.
这里是英特尔中国为您带来的特别体验活动，今晚的主题是科技唤醒历史。
Well, the goal were to struck a connection between the past and the present.
What reaction we want to see is from their eyes to their heart. History is not just far away, it's me. I am the history.
So the objective of this case was to bring the dry real sense technology closer to people and their hearts. We succeeded because a few people during the event actually cried, and a whole few people talked about it online. Leading to the next case that I want to show you, which was a very, very different type of case. KFC wanted to launch their new Singer Burger in the US. And whereas the launch of a burger is generally a very uneventful event, in this case, it was a pretty giant leap for burgers. I'll let the video speak for itself.
Like bringing the KFC Zinger spicy chicken sandwich to America. And we count these moments together with KFC, Worldview Enterprises, Widening Kennedy, and MediaMonks by making the Zinger the most famous sandwich on the planet by launching it into space. These are moments we dared to aim higher, to break fast food barriers, and to reach for the stars. We count these achievements among our proudest moments. Preparations, parachutes, condensation control, temperature testing and radiation isolation, scientific stuff, so the Zinger sandwich could survive the flight. And then we had liftoff.
The time has come to explore beyond our known horizons.
And a website, specifically designed with a live stream, timeline, and a fully functional bucket satellite for all the world to see. The Zinger rose up to reach a record height of 67,143 feet. And there it was, the first chicken sandwich to reach space. But we are still pioneers, and we've barely begun. Our greatest achievements are not behind us because our destiny lies above us. When you launch the world's most famous chicken sandwich into orbit, it's best to explore what's beyond the horizons.
So in this case, the objective was to create buzz around the launch of a new burger. And that worked, because over 200 publications wrote about it, free publicity, and obviously it exploded across the internet. People wanted to know if it was real, how high the burger had gotten, how long it had been up in the air, if it came down. Moving on to the next one. This one is advertised in the name of the presentation. It is a case that an experience that we very recently created for Puma. The briefing was to create a trialing experience of their new shoes that would be innovative and that would give people the ability to run the way they wanted. Where every other shoe brand is all about performance, Puma is about running whatever way you want, and it's for every runner. So let's look at the case.
Puma's new Run My Way campaign is not about being the fastest. It's about recognizing running as an experience and the beauty of exploration. To celebrate the launch of their new hybrid Astro running shoe in Shanghai, we created an immersive brand experience where people are free to run their own way and allowing people to embrace their primal force within. To travel in a virtual world that takes them from neon-lit streets to misty mountainsides to an emerald forest, and finally to find their inner Puma. To run slow or run fast, unleashed, untethered, and free to run. My way.
So the the objective for this case was to allow people to trial the product in an innovative way. And for us, the key was to create a very personalized and unique experience for each runner to underline the fact that no runner is the same. And even though the objectives of this campaign were pretty much purely brand engagement, we had placed the pavilion right across the street from one of Puma's biggest sales channels or retail channels in Shanghai. And the interesting thing is that it increased 21% in foot traffic during the week that it was live, 34% of sales conversion, and 60% increase of actual sales during that week. So with this experience resulting in such an impact to the bottom line, this is what we call the ultimate retail experience. That leads me to the next point. Very often when we're having conversations with our clients about experiences, it comes down to the conversation about reach, scalability, and impact. Because the perception is that a film will reach many more people online. But that's actually based on a media plan. That's not based on connection. That's not based on actually touching people's hearts. Experiences are still being seen as risky, but the problem with that is that it's, sorry, let me go. The opportunity that we have there when we're talking about true engagement and connection is that there's another major opportunity for experiential, one that justifies the investment even easier. It's being coined new retail. When every purchase is a click away, your physical retail channels can become that space where you can really connect with your consumers on a brand level. You can create a getaway for your consumers to spend time and dwell with your brand. You can create long-lasting connections with your brand. A connection that a piece of film, for example, can never create, and neither can a piece of pure technology. So why is this the perfect time for new retail? First of all, because we don't really need stores anymore. The internet is selling products. Secondly, because sales isn't really about selling anymore. Nobody's really interested in products by themselves. What they care about is what that product stands for, what it connects them to the greater good, what it says about them. So I believe a good flagship store or any store in the future, instead of focusing on selling product, focuses on selling really good brand experiences. And it wouldn't surprise me if a store in the future wouldn't even sell a product anymore. So that leads me to the final slide. That concludes it all. With a saturated online space, I think the next big thing for any brand to jump on are experiences. Experiences based on stories and empowered by technology. Because, and this is my final thought that I'll leave you with today, any kind of technology and any trend will eventually fade away. But a memory will always stay with people. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.